And what are you staring at? You never seen a woman before?
I thought I had.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds. Dory's a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. This episode will be discussing the Season 2 episode of TNG, which is called Up the Long Ladder. Original air date May 20th, 1989. And we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Ugh.
Wow.
Dory, take it
Wow.
away. Take it away, Toys.
Wow.
This episode was a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen at the beginning that are never heard from again.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're all very important things.
Yeah. Okay, so we start the episode with Worf breathing heavily.
What else is new?
Something's going on with him. He's just lots of heavy breathing. So they receive some kind of distress signal or beacon or something. And Picard, brings Riker into his ready room. And he's like, what do you think this is? And Riker, within 1 second, is like, oh, yeah, it's like a beacon. It's a signal, whatever. And he's like, it took other people a long time to figure this out. And you, just a second. I'm like, oh, my God. So it turns out it's, basically people from Earth who, left at the beginning of the 22nd century, post-World War III, apparently. Ugh. And it was influenced by a philosopher at the time. Do we have philosophers now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we?
I can name a few if you like, but you won't like them.
Uh-oh. Oh, God.
We have ones that
Yeah.
aren't shitty too. I just don't know who they are.
Oh, God.
But there
See,
are-
I didn't know. I thought we kind of had philosophized enough.
Nope.
Well, there's different eras and schools of philosophy. You're probably thinking of classical philosophers, right? Like Plato and
Yeah.
Aristotle and stuff like that. But yeah, there are modern philosophers.
Oh, boy. Who's a modern one?
Jeff?
Jordan Peterson.
No.
Yeah,
Refuse.
I
He is
know, right?
considered a
Block.
philosopher.
It's real
Delete.
fucking stupid.
Well,
no,
there-
no,
Well,
no,
Isn't
no.
there
Refuse.
isn't Isaac Asimov considered a philosopher?
Yes, Asimov is actually very influential in Star Trek because of his concept of humanism, which is this scientific egalitarian approach to the human race. Mm-hmm. And it's what Gene Roddenberry was very heavily inspired by, especially when doing TNG.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And another one I know is I think it's Jean Baudrillard, who the Wachowskis were really inspired by for The Matrix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Although Jean Baudrillard said that it was didn't represent his philosophy very well at all.
Ooh. Well. Okay, so there's this philosopher at the time who is the founder of neo-transcendentalism.
Transcendentalism, I think.
Yeah. Basically, it's a return to a simpler life in which one lives in harmony with nature. So, no thanks, hard pass. So, this was also on, some ship called the SS Mariposa, carrying tech and animals. Yeah, from there, we find out that Worf has fainted. So, everybody runs out. He goes to see Dr. P. She diagnoses him with basically Klingon measles. He's super embarrassed. Mm-hmm. But she's like, I won't tell anybody. So she basically tells Picard that he had low blood sugar. He was fasting and shit and whatever. So Worf is very, what's the word I'm thinking of? I don't know. He appreciates Dr. P lying for him.
He's grateful.
Grateful, yes, yes.
I'm from
And
Starfleet. We don't lie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no Wes in this episode.
But also, okay,
Yes.
I love that it's like Dr. Pulaski is... I think everyone's like, oh, chill, yeah, she lied to cover it up. But also, like, she shouldn't have had to because doctor-patient confidentiality.
Oh, that doesn't exist in the future. We've already established that.
Yeah. You'll notice in Star Trek that doctor-patient confidentiality isn't a thing.
So Worf basically decides he wants to do like a Klingon tea ceremony with Dr. P. So she says that, she's never gotten to like have someone do it for her, but then she proceeds to set it up.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's like, I've never had someone do the Klingon tea ceremony for her, or for me. And then she proceeds to do it herself.
Yeah, and then then immediately she's like, it's poisonous to humans, and it'll make Worf sick. So they're like, Worf is like, death should be a shared experience. Like, no, Worf, it should not. It really should not. And then so Dr. P's like, give me 1 sec. So she comes back with her multi-tool and like gives herself the antidote so she can drink tea with him. And that's it for that story.
Yep.
Of the whole episode. Worf carries on. He just does stuff in the episode.
Yeah, that's literally all that matters.
Yeah, we've moved on, and so they arrive at the planet that's like sending off the beacon, and it turns out this flare is what sort of like was able to send the signal as far as it did, and the flare is going to like hit the planet and kill everybody.
Yeah,
so
it's
Riker
a
goes
solar
down.
Flare. It's coming from the
yes.
sun. Yeah.
Yes. And so they send Riker down by himself to see these people, and they bring them up, and it's an unfortunate Irish stereotype led by this man named Brenna Odell, who it's funny because they weren't as like mind blown by tech as like I think everybody was anticipating.
No, they were kind of laid back about it.
Yeah, they're like, okay, that's okay, I guess.
I think they knew that stuff existed. They just didn't like.
Well, he
live
says
with it.
they'll but he's like really like they say computer at one point, and he's like computer or something. So like I don't know. I mean,
yeah, they seem
to be fair,
really chill about the whole thing.
Yeah, and I guess that's fine. I wrote on my notes. So they put them in like cargo bay 7, I guess, because then there's like a fire. So everybody runs in. The fire has been like taken care of. But there is like hay all over everywhere.
Yeah.
There's hay in the transponder room. There's hay all over the floor. The transporter room.
And you're right,
so
it was on the floor.
Yeah.
It was on the floor there, and it was on the floor in the cargo hold.
Listen, I understand.
Like,
I understand that they were transporting the animals along with them, but why was the random hay on the ground picked up?
Yeah. Got to see some cute cameos of animals. We got to see a pig, some ducks, a cow. Anyway, so they are
and a really
chickens.
cute baby goat right at the end.
Yes. Oh my God, the goat. Oh, it gave me flashbacks. Years ago, I went to Peru, and when we were in Cusco, there was these people who go around with like alpacas and tourists take pictures and whatever with them. But literally, we exited the hotel, and this woman came up to me and literally just put a small, tiny baby lamb in my arms, and I was so caught off guard that I was like, yes, please. And it reminded me so much of that little baby at the end there. Oh God, I think about this at least once a week, that little baby goat. I don't think I've ever been so happy in my life. Yeah, it was a lamb I think I held. It truly, and then I just was so happy. I didn't realize like my friend had to like pay them because like they just put it in your arms, and you're just like so distracted that
unfortunately
you don't realize you have to pay. It's a common tourist trap thing around the world to push something on someone and then be like, now you have to pay. But I was so caught like of this tiny beautiful baby that I was like, I don't. Yeah, I'll like pay whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Gosh. Oh. The cutest thing in the world. Anyway, sorry. Okay. So now we meet Brenna Odell, who is Danilo. Is that how you pronounce his name? I've already forgotten how I pronounced his name. Danilo, yes. So we meet Brenna, who's his daughter. And Brenna is great.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I am a fan of Brenna.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
She is brash. She doesn't give a shit. She should be in charge. Her dad sucks. Mm-hmm. And she immediately, so like Picard, Worf, and Riker come in. And immediately she's like, who are you? What is this? What is that fire? I was trying to make a fire. What is happening? I hate everything. And Picard is looking at her and I'm like, oh, is Picard interested? And then we go to Riker. I'm like, oh, Riker's interested. And I'm like, is this going to be a weird, like, love triangle right about now? Because, okay, let's be honest. Picard, he, even at the end, when he's having their conversation with her at the very end of the episode, it felt like he was, like, into her.
Oh.
The look that he was giving her, kind of, I don't know.
I didn't get those vibes from it.
It was like vibes. I don't know. But, yeah, she's great. She says to Riker, and what are you staring at? Have you ever seen a woman? And Riker responds, I thought I had.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Riker.
Honestly, I love that line so much. And I'm like, oh, dang. I'm not, like, usually attracted to Riker, but I like that line. That was a good
It was an interesting
response.
episode for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, people kind of carry on, and then, like, Riker decides to stay to, like, chat with Brenna, and there's just a good, like, few seconds of them full out just staring at each other back and forth. And she's trying to do stuff, but he's just standing there staring at her, and so she keeps doing something and turning and staring. And then her skirt is already, like, midi length, and then she decides to put it up a little higher, even though we can already see her feet. Mm-hmm. And she's like, is there somewhere I can wash my feet? And he's like, yeah, there is. So she takes his arm and they leave.
Well, she's got to give him those hot ankles.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hot ankle and calf action.
Yeah. Even though she goes around in a crop sweater.
Yeah, I will say that was a cute little sweater.
It was, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So then Danilo requests Worf, and he wants something really intense to drink. Although, yeah, they teach him about the thing in the wall, the replicator. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Yep. Yeah. So Danilo asks for whiskey. He doesn't like it, doesn't have the kick. So Worf orders a cup of dry ice. And Danilo likes that shit, apparently.
I think it's supposed to be Klingon blood wine or whatever.
Yeah, I assume that, but...
I don't know if it's blood wine, but it is some random Klingon word that he says.
Yeah, I assumed it was something a bit more intense. So meanwhile, Riker brings her to his room, in which she is, in a different top. And she immediately starts to clean, and he's like, no, it's cool, like, just leave it. Yeah. And then she immediately is like, oh, where can I wash my feet? And he's like, oh, through there. And then she, like, drops her skirt to reveal another skirt.
Yeah.
It's like, this woman is like the Russian nesting dolls of a person.
I think that's like her slip or whatever, I'm assuming.
I know. It just like...
It is funny.
It just was a really funny image of like her just like dropping the skirt to reveal another skirt.
Yeah.
Skirtception.
Yeah. So Riker gets his Riker time with her.
Yeah.
Which he takes her hair out. Really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, they make out and have Riker time.
And then that's never mentioned again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Immediately done. And I was surprised. I thought there would be more... I don't know. I thought there'd be more of a story with them.
Yeah. I respect it, though. It's like they just wanted to both have some Riker time.
One and done.
Yeah,
there was actually a filmed but canceled scene. Filmed but cut scene where Riker goes back to the bridge after his time with her. He sits down kind of triumphantly, and there's some weird exchange with Data, apparently, and then Worf starts reciting Klingon poetry.
Yeah, I'm glad they got rid of that.
I don't know, man. I kind of want to hear some Klingon poetry.
I do too, yeah. But I like that, like, in Star Trek, I feel like they always tease Klingon poetry, but they never give you any.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of nice having it be a mystery because then it can be like your imagination makes it really good, but if someone actually writes it and it sucks, you're like, oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's always the danger.
I mean, you haven't read Shakespeare until you've read him in the original Klingon.
Yes. People actually do, I was going to bring that up, that people actually do Klingon Shakespeare performances.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's been printed as a book, Shakespeare in Klingon, Hamlet in Klingon specifically.
Yeah. I would love to see. I mean, I barely understand what they're saying in Shakespearean English anyway, so I'd love to see a Klingon production.
Yep, same.
Oh, okay. Now, Danilo mentions, what about the other colony? So we are now introduced to Wilson Granger.
Oh,
who is
for the record, you know when he mentions that? 24 minutes into the episode, we finally get the plot.
Yeah.
So he's the Prime Minister of Mariposa, and Troy senses that he is hiding something. But then Riker, Dr. P, and Worf go down to the planet, and where we immediately meet Victor Granger, Minister of Health. And I immediately wrote, are they clones of the original settlers? Because he said, they're like, must be a descendant. And Wilson goes, oh, not exactly.
Yeah.
So when we saw Victor, I was like, oh, clones.
Yeah.
It's got to be clones, right?
Yeah.
And like that's the first second I saw him, and it still took so long. Worf and Riker see 4 identical women, and they're like, "What?
Yeah, quadruplets.
4?
Yeah,
That's crazy, so wild." And then Victor asks Dr. P if she's a scientific doctor or a medical doctor, and I just wrote red flag.
Yeah.
What? So then they go into the room, to the office to see Wilson, and Dr. P does not waste time. She goes, tell me, is your entire population made of clones, Prime Minister? And then Worf goes, clones? Riker goes, clones? And then Wilson goes, clones. It's like, you guys.
The original working title for the episode was Send in the Clones.
Oh, God.
Oh, they did get that line in there, though.
Yeah.
I know.
It's so bad, but like, yeah, I'll take it. So basically, they're clones of the original settlers. Their ship, there was some kind of breach, so there was only 5 survivors. They were all like scientific officers or whatever, and they just made clones of themselves over the past 300 years. And they're not in great shape because they are starting to experience replicative fading.
And they're real grossed out by sex.
Oh, yeah. It's basically like too many clones until they're rotten clones.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you photocopy something, like, and then you photocopy a photocopy, and so on and so on and so on. It just gets shitty and shittier every time.
Yeah. So then Wilson's like, hey, can I get your DNA? And Riker says no in a real intense way. Riker goes, no way, not me. And Wilson goes, but how could you possibly be harmed? Riker goes, it's not a question of harm. One William Riker is unique, perhaps even special, but 100 of him, 1,000 of him, diminishes me in a way I can't even imagine. I was like, I don't think about that. The reason I wouldn't want to be cloned is just like, do we need another me? No. Like, nobody wants to sit with like a second Dory. That's like, no. Nobody should be punished with that. One
I
is
don't even
enough.
want to sit with one Dory.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have to.
One is too
You
many.
wouldn't have to see the other Dories, though.
Yeah, but also, here's the thing. I feel like with my amount of anxiety, I would have anxiety thinking about my clones.
Yeah.
And I feel like the clones would have anxiety thinking about their clones and me.
Yeah.
There's just too much anxiety to go around. I wouldn't wish that on another person or a clone.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
But the
It's
thing
not
is,
it's not a good move.
okay, I have an issue with this whole thing, but I'll wait till after the recap.
Okay. So that Wilson's like, okay, so fine. Like, you guys aren't going to give me your DNA. Then, like, can you guys repair our shit? So they're like, sounds good. So then I wrote, why don't they just send the Irish people to the planet? I feel like that would solve their problem. They're looking for a new home.
What's that? You already figured out the plot to the episode?
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
You already figured out the solution.
yeah, so I was like, this seems like a really easy solution. Why? I should be a fucking officer of something, because this was, you could see clones a mile away. You could see the solution. Like, somebody needs, maybe everybody needs to do exams again, because this is like really like straightforward solutions and nobody's thinking about it.
The episode is 90% filler is the problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Geordi's fixing the shit, and then, like, Dr. P and Riker are like, hey, cool. And then Wilson's like, you don't want to reconsider? And they're like, no, we're good. So then they get lasered, knocked unconscious, and then they take their DNA from their stomach without consent, and then we're back. Oh, and then Geordi comes in. And I was like, oh, they're going to take Geordi too? No, they don't want Geordi's DNA. And I took that personally, because I was like, why wouldn't you want Geordi's DNA? He's the fucking head of engineering. That's a brilliant guy.
And why would you want Dr. P's DNA? Look at her.
No, well, she's smart too. I will give her that. But just like, why? I was like, why wouldn't you want, like, I don't want Geordi's DNA to be taken without his consent. I don't want anybody's.
Yeah.
But like, why wouldn't you want Geordi's DNA, Wilson? Why wouldn't you want Geordi's DNA?
I'll give you a clue. It starts with race and ends with ism.
I assumed so, but I'm not happy about it.
There was a black clone, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you notice that he was usually the security guy?
Yeah. Another reason...
I never said anything other.
The reason I was thinking of was because he's blind. Because they don't want a disabled clone.
Which is not better.
No, it's not. It's definitely not.
See, I didn't even think about that.
They never really say, like, I don't think that was their intention, but they accidentally implied that they didn't want a black disabled clone.
Yeah, and that's pretty fucking messed up.
Yep.
Yeah, did not like that. And then, so when they're back on the ship, they kind of do a realization that they don't remember because that what happened. They go down to...
Because Geordi apparently can tell when people are lying.
Yes, he's human lie detector, which is a skill.
Yeah. That he never comes up again.
Well, he does say it only reliably works with humans.
Yeah, but there's plenty of opportunities when he's dealing with a human and can't tell.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, where was he earlier when Dr. P was lying about Worf's diagnosis? So, yeah, she does her scan and realizes that her and Riker are missing epithelial cells from their stomach, and they need to get back down to the planet because there are clones. It's Attack of the Clones.
There will be clones.
So they go down, and that must have been really weird. Riker, like, kills his clone and Dr. P's clone, which is, like, I don't know. I would feel a sort of weird way of, like, yep, just killed my clone.
Yeah.
Just murdered myself.
There is, like, there's a weird overlap of ethical issues there.
Yeah.
He asks, well, non-verbally, he asks Dr. P if she wants him to kill her clone too, and then he does it. After she says
because
yes.
I mean, she made it pretty clear from the start that, like, that she didn't want, like, not from the start, from when Wilson asked the first time, she didn't want clones to be cloned. And then, so, like, they confront Wilson, and he throws a fucking fit, and he's like, we have a right to survive. No, you fucking don't. No. That's the thing that killed me. At first, I was like, yeah, but your right to survive...
Not at the expense of others.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, your right to survive shouldn't impede on the rights of others. And then I was like, actually, you don't technically have the right to exist, to survive. That's not a right. That's just, like... Yeah, it's somebody prioritizing one person, like one group over another group. Yeah. His right to survive it should not be at the expense of others. Like, you're not better than someone else. Yeah. So there is no right over somebody else. That's more of what I mean.
Yeah, you can't violate somebody in the name of survival, you know.
Yeah, you're not more deserving of life than someone else. So, so finally, Picard comes to the conclusion, hey, maybe we should speak to the Irish. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Picard. I figured, should I be the captain of the Enterprise at this point? For fuck's sake. So they bring in Danilo, and oh God, I hate that Wilson said breeding stock.
Yeah.
He's
Actually,
like,
Dr. P said that.
Oh, sorry. Does she?
Yeah. She's like, they don't need clones. What they need is breeding stock.
Regardless who said breeding stock, I hate
It's
it.
gross,
That's such a gross way to describe someone or people just in general. I think it's also I got it mixed up because I just wrote Wilson is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I hate Wilson.
It's I have a whole issue with this solution, but I'll get into that after finish.
Yeah, for sure. I did I thought they lived together, but not, fucking force women to just
to be baby machines.
I thought they just lived coexisting.
Yeah.
I thought they go down, they coexist together. I feel like there could be people who want to procreate, let them procreate. People who just want to fucking live, let them fucking live. But no, the funniest thing for me is Wilson was basically we stopped being horny 300 years ago. How do you think we're expected to become horny now?
Yeah.
I'm like, Wilson, they will find a way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Immediately, Danilo is down to clown because they decide that, every woman will need to have 3 children by 3 different men. And I'm like, no thanks. Hard pass.
Yeah.
That's really upsetting. So then we go into the cargo hold again, and we see Brenna, and Brenna is pissed.
Yeah, rightfully
Danilo
so.
tells her what's going on, and she immediately, I wrote down her whole thing with Picard as she goes, isn't that just like a man? You make these grandiose decisions, but you never consider the poor women. And Picard goes, Miss Odell, Then she goes, you men draw a mug and solve all the problems of the world while the beer goes down. But when it comes to the practical matters, it always falls to the women to make your grand dreams come true. Picard goes, Miss Odell, you were the one who wanted a new home. And I'm like, Picard, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but fuck you.
Yeah.
And then she goes, but I don't know if I want to be Eve. And I just was like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Because then basically what it came down to, he basically tells her that, listen, if you want to, stay with your people, you gotta commit to this. If you don't, then sorry, we'll drop you off somewhere else. And I was like, that's fucking gross.
Yeah, he's like, it's your choice. You can stay on the Enterprise and we can drop you off at some other starbase.
Yeah, or you could become a baby machine.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, what's that dude's deal? And then he's like, oh, it's the prime minister. And she's like, oh, okay, prime minister, eh? That sounds important. And I'm like, Brenna.
Yeah.
How could you turn like this in 1 second?
Because she obviously, my justification is trauma response. She doesn't want to leave her family and she's trying to make the best of it.
Yeah, just I think that this ultimatum is fucking gross.
Yeah.
That either be a baby maker or you can't stay.
Yeah.
That's not a choice. That's because you don't want to become, as Dr. P said, breeding stock. That's also, that puts, as Brenna said, that puts everything on the woman. What if you can't have children?
Yep.
What if you don't want to have children? You're being forced to just to stay with your family. That's, and plus that also that all the men are viable. Also, how we better be talking this is all of age or something, because for whatever reason I don't trust Wilson to let things happen safely or whatever. He just does not seem to understand the concept of consent. So
yeah, and
this is red flag city for me.
Yeah, and you're also breaking up marriages.
You know? Oh yeah, because they were monogamy is not going to be a thing for a while. It's I feel like you should be able to have a choice in that.
Yeah.
If you want to have multiple spouses, party.
I think there.
You do you.
I think there's definitely a way they could have helped each other without using the poor, uneducated people as a breeding slaves.
Yeah.
You know?
Christ. Or you just ever people go down if they want to go down, and then if they want to have kids, have kids. like, that's really gross that, like,
Yeah. And
you'd force people, like, it's such a gross ultimatum.
You know what's real sad? The woman who wrote this episode, Melinda Snodgrass, same one who wrote Measure of a Man.
that's unfortunate.
It is.
They can't all be bangers, you know?
That's true.
Because, you know what's funny, though? It's funny, though, because, like, Brenna's, like, rants are true.
Yes.
And yet, every second they can, they, like, go back on it. They're like, oh, they make it sound like she's crazy for, like, spouting all this stuff, but she's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then she turns so quickly on, like, well, yeah, I guess it's trauma response or doesn't want to leave her dad, but it just, like, they make it, I don't know, it sort of feels like this can be something for almost, like, for feminism, like having a woman who's a feminist and then immediately, like, a man ultimatum, and it's like, nope, I ditched my feminism ideals for a man, so feminism isn't, like, isn't an important thing anymore. Like, it like serves a purpose till it does, till, like, you get what you want, which is not the way anything should be going.
No. And I think, okay, so what they did by stealing their DNA and cloning is, like, reprehensible. It's like, it's a form of rape, essentially. It's, like, so violating, like, all these things. I think that's obvious. But to me, I really disliked that the Enterprise essentially, no, doing your cloning thing is weird.
Well, Picard said, I think you'll find everyone on the ship is like going to have similar views, and it's like, have you tried asking them?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up before, is like, you didn't ask. Like, I'm sure there's what, 2,000 people aboard, I think, is, like, the crew complement?
1,000, but yeah.
1,000? Okay. But I'm sure there's a couple people, at least, within the 1,000 that, like, might be cool with cloning. Because my point is, I wanted to bring that up as a separate thing, but what I was getting to before is that they look down on their society because they don't do traditional sexual reproduction. And it's like, why are you forcing them? Like, this is a society that is essentially a society of asexuals now. And
yes.
It's like, so why are you forcing them to do this thing that they don't really like to or want to do?
Yeah, it all comes down to choice.
Yeah.
And the Enterprise did not help.
There are other solutions.
Their solution has, like, takes away everybody's choice.
It's like, hey, you can have test tube babies. You know, if you don't want to have physical sex or whatever, you could still, like, do.
They're scientists. If they can come up with cloning, they can figure out how to fertilize an egg. Like,
yeah, and come up with, like, you could probably come up with, like, external gestation machines or whatever if you didn't want, like, physical people to carry them. You could ask for volunteers from the farmers, being like, hey, is anyone, or volunteers from the crew being like, hey, is anyone willing to be a surrogate or whatever? Like, we'll set up this program where we'll ask for surrogates, and then we can help you repopulate, like, in a safe way and consensual way. And maybe we can bring you scientists to look into this cloning thing to help figure out the issues with the replicative fading and stuff like that. Like, there's all these things you could have done that doesn't force people to be, as they say, breeding stock. It was just a really gross thing.
Yeah, it's funny though, because the whole thing, the conclusion, the solution to all this is just, like the heteronormative of, like, if you all just, like, have babies, then it'll solve the problem.
Oh yeah,
but, like,
that doesn't even,
like,
I didn't even think of that. It doesn't even take into account if someone's fucking gay.
Yeah, it's just literally, hey, babies are the way to go. Babies are the way to, that's what's going to solve everything. Children.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but, like, will it? No, like,
And
that's not fair.
It just came to mind, Dr. Pulaski fully says you don't have to do this. Because she says 300 people is enough to create a stable base. But if you make it wider, then it'll be, like, better.
Right.
So that means they don't actually have to do this. It's better if they do, but they don't have to. So maybe technically, scientifically, it would be better. But maybe don't push the option that, like, forces people to have children non-consensually.
Yeah.
And have multiple partners non-consensually.
Yeah, because then ultimately, also think of, like, the childcare. Who's going to be the one, you think, like, 3 different fathers are going to be, like, equally taking care of their kids?
No. Yeah.
Logically, like, historically, no.
Wow, that is sexist.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
It is a little sexist, but if you think of it realistically, not everyone's going to have the same interest in their children. Like, people are multifaceted.
Yeah, well, I also, like, basically what I mean, though, is, like, are all 3 dads going to be willing to, like, split the time to take care of all their 3 children? Mm-hmm. Because I can see a lot of these guys just like, having the kids because they have to, and then leaving it all on the woman. But also, like, 3 kids, that's like, that's the thing, is, like, I'm asking, do we think that everybody will do their equal amount to take care of all of these freaking extra children?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just saying, oh, the woman does all the work. I'm just saying, but will people actually want to split the time?
Well, the other thing is you're thinking about dividing it up equally, whereas what's much more likely to happen is that some men will be more desired than others, and so, one guy might have 10 kids and another guy might have 1.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you do in that kind of situation?
I sort of thought, like, the way they explained it, I kind of just assumed that, like, I guess it makes sense. Like, the guys having more than, like, I kind of thought, like, 1 woman and then 3 men, and that's sort of your pod or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't think about, like, the men having multiple. I guess that makes sense, though.
Yeah, that's the way Dr. Pulaski explained it, but for some reason, Danilo takes this as, like, oh, I also get 3 wives? It's like, no. What she said is women get 3 husbands.
Yeah.
And like Dory said, that's your little pod of people, But yeah, if this is already a terrible, horrible thing, but if you're doing it, you better have a structure to it, because I think that's bad for the gene pool if one guy has way more kids than another guy.
Yeah. That's why I thought they would just, like, God, how do you even organize that?
Yeah.
How do you, like, okay, we've got Brenna here. Who wants to be in Brenna's pod? Like, what? That feels so gross.
Yeah. It's like,
how do you decide these groupings? And
yeah, it's a terrible solution in many different aspects. And it didn't have to be.
Yeah. They should just, like, live together and let them decide how they want to do whatever.
Also, they have a whole fucking planet. Like, you can probably, find some space for them somewhere. They don't necessarily have to fully integrate.
Also, why can't they, like, I mean, if this is a planet with all this technology, can they not, like, send out, like, a wanted ad of, like, hey, are people looking for a place to stay and feel like procreating, or just, like, whatever? Like, because there's people out there who, I'm sure, we've been to a bunch of, like, humanoid communities before. So, like, what's the difference?
Yeah. Just,
they've got the technology, send it out, see who's interested, and that's it.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, like, who's interested in being cloned? There's gotta be people who are willing to do it. Oh, yeah, you do a mix of both. Yeah, if you want to be cloned, come here. If you want to have children and be with a family here, then there you go. Like, or bring families there to then... I mean, there's so many ways to go about it. I find it so frustrating that the show acts like the entire ship has the same point of view. And it's like, it's just not... That's not how people work. Like, that would never be true. And I understand if you want to go and say, like, hey, I understand that, like, this is how your society's built up and stuff. And the thing is that, like, it's not sustainable. Like, you are going to have to make some changes to your society if you want to survive, which they kind of do. But, like, to me, in this episode, it just comes off that they look down on how their society is structured. And that they, like, because Riker has such a, like, visceral reaction to it. It's just like, oh, you're fully, like, disgusted by this concept. And it's like, for me, like, it's not for me. I would never want to be cloned and stuff, but, like, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with the way they've structured their society, at least from what I've seen of it.
I mean, it works for them. If it's not hurting people, then, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see there any issues. Just, you know, as long as people are okay with being cloned, then, like, that's cool.
Like,
it's not like it's an affront to humanity the way that Riker treats it.
Yeah. And, like,
but he's special and unique. And more of him will diminish the specialness and uniqueness. That beard is one of a kind.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Like, there could be issues in their society of, like, you know, certain clones getting favor. Like, if you're a clone of this person, you, like, automatically get these jobs, and, like, the shittier jobs are relegated to clones of this person and that sort of stuff. But from what we see in this episode, we don't have that kind of information. So everything we know of the society, it seems like they're relatively happy with how things are. And the only problem is that the cloning is just not sustainable.
I mean, you could say that the Granger clones have a cushier job, because one's the prime minister and another one is, like,
the health
minister of health or something. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just two of them that we saw, though. So
yeah.
I don't know what the other ones have jobs for, but those are two pretty high up jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to bring your attention to, I mean, I know we've been discussing about the fact that this episode clearly has a lot of things that are offensive by today's standards, but the controversies that went on when it came out were entirely different controversies, actually.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, so what the writer recalled was that she actually received pushback from two directions. One of them was right-to-life advocates, because they objected to the pro-choice, I'm in charge of my body sentiment that Riker had. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And as we had already guessed, Irish Americans protested what they felt was a stereotypical portrayal in the, what's the name of the...
Oh, Brinloidy or something?
Yeah, the Brinloidy.
Yeah. Oh, they were very correct.
Well, what's real funny about that is that it was actually an unintended stereotype, because the original idea for them was for when she was pitching the episode was, think of, like, you know, Irish Americans coming Irish people coming to the U.S. for the first time back in, like, you know, the 20s and the 30s, and Maurice Hurley,
and he took that literally.
Yeah, he's Irish, and he literally told her, no, run with that, but actually.
Yeah.
So, that was a problem.
They didn't have to make, like, them drunkards, you know?
No, they absolutely did not.
Also, like, everyone just seemed, like, really annoyed at them. And it's like, you knew these people were, like, unsophisticated farmers. Like, what did you expect?
Well, they're not interested in philosophy, so clearly they are below us.
Yeah. It just seemed like they also didn't seem to understand the point of bringing their animals along, and it's like, they're farmers?
I just find it interesting that, like, they looked so down on the quote-unquote Irish group, even though they didn't really do anything wrong. They were pretty, like, Danilo was kind of annoying, but for the most part, he's kind of gross at the end, but, like, kind of chill. Wilson, however, they're like, oh, look at this. Look at their high... Wilson was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a literal
Wilson was
shitbag.
an absolute piece of shit, but they treated him with more respect, and, like...
Yep.
Yeah.
It was really... That's annoying. That's gross.
I mean, the episode is intentionally written to make the Irish people the butt of the joke, which is the real problem with it. It's less their portrayal, because yes, while it is stereotypical, I think the stereotype kind of matches, like, the stereotype of just about any, small town of farmers, of unsophisticated people and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the issue comes down to the fact that one of these groups was one to take seriously, and the other one was 24 minutes of comedic relief.
Yeah. And it's just like, ugh. It's like, hey, we rescued you from your planet that was being destroyed. And, now you get to be these people's breeding stock.
Now you get to fuck clones.
Also, does the Prime Directive not apply in any of this? They're just fucking...
No, because they're humans.
Yeah, they're fucking up 2 entire societies.
Yeah, but they're all humans, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Humans they can fuck around with.
Yeah.
We deserve it. No, I'm kidding. We do not deserve it. They don't deserve it.
I really love Brenna, but I hate this episode.
Yeah.
I just really don't. I don't like all the implications. And, like, what I was saying before about, like, the Riker killing the clone stuff having, like, multiple ethical, like, things is... I don't think it's a surprise that I'm pro-choice, right? It's like, you have the right to control...
You are?
Yeah. You have the right to control your own body and, like, whether you have children or not, and, like, that includes clones. And I don't have an issue with abortion, but it does bring up questions of, like, can you kill, like, this fully formed being? Like,
wasn't fully formed yet, actually.
Yeah.
You can see the face, but you can clearly tell that the rest of it is, like, kind of a slug.
True. Yeah. I guess I have no issue with it, but it's I guess it's one of those internal paradoxes where like, I don't think Riker was bad for killing the clone or whatever, but it is one of those internal paradoxes in my mind where I'm like yes, pro-choice, no problem with abortion, you control your body, you control what happens with your DNA and all that stuff, but I feel like killing a clone of yourself still isn't totally cool.
It's a gray area.
Yeah, it seems like a gray area to me.
I suppose it's also, then it comes up of, like, if, say, the clone is, like, fully grown or whatever, then, like, as the original, like, how much do you get a say then? Like, does the clone then become its own, like, person? They get their own personhood. Yeah. Does the original get any kind, like, or they're just separate now and they're just copies but different and the same at the same time? Like, there's a lot I mean, we as humans it's not really as far as I know, not a thing right now. I mean, I know about the sheep, but, like,
I would say yes. I think once they're fully conscious and sentient and aware, do they
have a soul? Do clones have souls?
Yeah, they now are their own person and have a right to control themselves. And I don't think the original really gets a say. Even if it was done without consent, which is unfortunate, but I think, like, once someone is, like, breathing and alive, I think they become their own entity.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, the reason I have no problem with abortion is because, like, that fetus is fully dependent on the mother and it's, like, physically attached. Like, a fetus is part of your body. It's like, if you wanted to cut off your own arm, you could do that because it's part of you. It's like you have control over your own body. So that's how I see it. Once they're born and they can breathe on their own and they're completely separate, they're their own person.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I have more thoughts, but it just goes too far off on a track. That's our abortion sidetrack. Abortion corner.
I was just going to say, yeah. Thank you for joining us in Abortion Corner.
Yeah. All right, I guess we should move on to favorite moments and lines and stuff like that.
I like Brenna.
Yeah, I like most of her stuff.
I think all of the Worf Tea stuff is
Yeah.
actually quite adorable, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes, I
yes.
actually really did like that bit. The philosophy isn't something I agree with, but I really like the way he said it, and it was nice hearing like how Worf views the world and stuff. It was nice to get a piece of his inner monologue.
It was also nice that for once Dr. P just like accepted. I mean, not for once. Maybe she's done it before. I don't remember. But she was like excited to experience the tea ceremony with him. Mm-hmm. And that instead of like not drinking, she went and got her multi-tool to like to be able to participate with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was nice.
I think my favorite line is when Brenna goes like, "Have you never seen a woman before?" And Riker says, "I thought I had."
Yeah.
And I like where she drops her skirt to reveal another skirt.
Yeah. Oh, I like their staring contest.
Yeah.
They just that whole set just staring at each other.
Yeah. I liked the bit where she took off her top skirt. Not only because it is funny, but also she looks amazing. She has an incredible body.
She's just gorgeous. Mm-hmm. The first time they showed her, I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Who is this? Brenna gets high scores.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think with that, we should get into predictions for the next episode.
Oh, boy.
All right. So the next episode is called Manhunt.
Okay.
And so your little tidbit is that Lwaxana Troy, Deanna's mother, is looking for love.
And it's called Manhunt.
It's called Manhunt.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh wow. Oh wow. When you first said Manhunt, I thought it was like, okay, they're going to be chasing someone. No, this is better.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Manhunt. Oh my god. Okay, I'm very psyched. Okay, first of all, very happy to see her back. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I love it. Oh yay. I've been laughing about this for a while. Manhunt. Oh, okay. What if it's like double meaning? Okay, I've got something. We're gonna go double meaning on this.
Ooh.
Okay. So she's looking for a guy. Okay, they go down to a planet. Bear with me. So she's made it clear, she's told Troy she's looking for a boyfriend. Mm-hmm. They go, or maybe like she's on the ship and they stop down somewhere for, like a I don't know, briefly. They go to like a bar or something. And she meets someone there who, she talks to a few people, doesn't feel successful. Then they go to a different bar, or they go back the next day. And she meets this guy. And he seems really great, and like they hit it off immediately. But he's a wanted criminal. There's two manhunts on. There's one for Troy's mom, and then there's a manhunt by the popo. Like, police, or no, what's the police? What's the version of the police?
Oh, Worf.
In this, is this just? Yeah, Worf is looking for this guy.
Yes.
So like manhunt, two different versions. So yeah, the person that she finds who they hit off, he's actually a criminal and wanted. So there's a manhunt going on for him on one way, and then there in the bad way, and then there's a manhunt on him on a good way.
I'm really into this.
Nice.
Yeah, double meaning manhunt. Yes.
Well, if you'd like to find out, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a Teen G podcast.
Goodbye.